Oh yeah, that's some good stuff. Oh, didn't see you there. Don't look at me like that. It's not what it looks like. Okay. It doesn't look good. But seriously, it's not what you think. It's just grounded down Persona content, okay? Look, it's really good. There's the main games and all the spin-offs the series got after Persona 4, like the fighting games, the dancing rhythm game, the Chibi Fest. I could go on. It's all so good. Man, Atlas, just tell me when the US release date for Persona Dancing Star Night is, okay? I need it! Okay, now that I'm all fixed up and whatnot. For some context, my obsession with the Persona series might seem a tad much, but can you blame me? It's a great series. After I played Persona 5, I was hooked. Sorry to all the vets that I'm such a filthy casual. I went out and got a PS Vita just to play Persona 4, 3, and Dancing All Night. Anyway, that's not important. What is important is the Velvet Room, in the context of the Persona series. Totally nailed that segue. Now, like I just stated, the Velvet Room has played a very important role in the Persona games, both as a part of the game and symbolically. The room is rooted in the story of the games themselves, and the shape of the room has changed during each installment, starting for Persona 3. Before I continue, I want to preface that this was supposed to be a lecture-style video, but it's more of a theory thing now. Observation thing? Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Point is, we'll be looking at the symbolism of the Velvet Room in Persona 5 and what it represents in the story, rather than trying to teach a subject. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who haven't played any Persona games or just want a quick explanation about what the Velvet Room is, it is a special room in the game where only those who are deemed worthy can enter by forming a contract with the caretaker of the room, Igor. In the room, the player can fuse personas or summon them from the Persona Compendium. Its inhabitants include Igor and his assistants, which change from game to game. The room is a recurring location throughout the series, but the form it takes changes. Let's go into more specifics about the room in each game. In Persona 3, the Velvet Room is an elevator that is constantly moving upwards. This reflects Caesar's ascension through Tartarus. In Persona 4, the Velvet Room appears as a limousine driving through a dense fog without a clear destination, mirroring the investigation team's journey to uncover the mysteries of the TV world and the murders. Igor, those are some pretty fine looking drinks you got on display there. No wonder you kept messing up my infusions, you drunk. Persona 5 is no different in this regard, as the newest form the Velvet Room takes is a prison. It's easy to make a quick assumption that the prison obviously represents the protagonist's journey through rehabilitation as stated by Igor. And yes, that is true on the surface. There's a deeper meaning here. For example, it's not just any prison. This circular prison is known as a panopticon. It was thought up by English philosopher Jeremy Bentham. The name of the panopticon is thought to be in reference to Argus Panoptus, a giant with 100 eyes in Greek mythology, whose name meant the all-seeing one. The shape served a purpose, as all parts of the prison are visible from a single point. Now, there are a few differences between the panopticon and the Velvet Room. The panopticon had an inspection house at the center. This is where the manager or the staff of the institution would watch the inmates. The Velvet Room, on the other hand, has a circular shape and Igor is positioned in the middle. This kinda simulates the panopticon since you're always being watched while you're in the prison. One big distinction between the Velvet Room and the panopticon is that the inmates who were around the perimeter of the structure were not able to see into the inspection house. This served two purposes. One, you needed less staff to watch the inmates, and two, because the inmates could not see into the center, they had no idea they were being watched. This gave a feeling of omnipresence. The overseer could see all without being seen himself, and any inmate could be watched without them even realizing it. For all they knew, there was no one in the inspection house. While in Persona, Igor is clearly visible to the player, this mirrors what the protagonist and the Phantom Thieves have to deal with throughout the game. The feeling of being watched. This is a spoiler warning for anyone who is planning to play the game. From the beginning of the game, the protagonist is branded as a criminal because of an unfortunate sequence of events. He saves a young woman who was getting assaulted by a four-eyed dildo in a cheap suit and accidentally injures him. This upstanding citizen moment is rewarded by being sued for assault by Mayoshi Shido, and I messed that up way too many times. He was then expelled from his school, forcing him to move away from his home. When he transfers to his new school, it's clear that he'll be watched because he's a criminal. Hell, the way you save the game is by logging what you do into a diary given to you by your guardian Sojiro, so that he can write reports on what you've been doing. This feeling of the protagonist being watched becomes progressively worse throughout the game. This is especially true towards the middle of the game during Akumaro's dungeon. By this point in the story, the Phantom Thieves are fully aware that they have become the center of attention and have caught the eye of some shady people and the government who is trying to shut them down. They know that there's someone watching them, however they have no way of finding out exactly who, mirroring the format of the prison. Another way to look at this is using the fake Igor, or Yaldabaoth. Before the game begins, he makes a bet with Igor, and the protagonist ends up being caught in the middle of it, without him even knowing. Yaldabaoth tricks Igor and assumes his form, so he's actually been observing you this whole time without you even realizing it. Mirroring the inspection house, he was directly in front of you, in your line of sight, but you had no idea who he was exactly or his intentions. While doing some research, I found a short story by a Japanese author that could actually be the inspiration for the design of the Velvet Room. It may sound like a stretch, but everything in Persona 5 is inspired from literature. Everything from the personas of the main characters, to the coffee shop LeBlanc, whose name is in reference to the author of the book, Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Thief. Arsène being the protagonist's persona. Anyway, the title of the story is Panoptcy, and was written by Tommy Kobayashi. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic future where the planet is ruined by corporations. The environment has been destroyed and humans are barely able to exist. The humans that are left live in small city enclosed states surrounded by gigantic towers. At the top of these towers are large eyes that look out for potential threats. During the story, Kobayashi highlights how cruel the world can be, where people will shamelessly seek power even if it means oppressing others with less power. Does this sound like anything we've seen before? In my opinion, it kinda sounds like what the Phantom Thieves were dealing with during the game. Okay, well, maybe not the post-apocalyptic part, but you've got to admit, the Phantom Thieves, especially Ryuji, the best boy in my opinion, even though he could have gotten us thrown in jail multiple times, have stated that they are fighting against the injustices that the corrupt adults are causing. And believe me, there are some despicable adults in the game. However, after each adult is defeated, they come to reason and regret what they've done while explaining the hardships they faced that led them to becoming the power-abusing sentient trash cans you see before you. All of this kind of mirrors current issues with today's technology, where we are constantly being watched, or at least we feel as if we are. Our social media accounts contain a lot of personal information. In a sense, they contain who we are. They contain our personalities, our likes and dislikes. It's not just our friends and random people who are seeing us through social media, but big corporations and even the government are comparable to the all-seeing eyes, looking at the information we have online. Didn't mean to get all theory and meta on you there. And that's all we have for today. Did you agree what I had to say about the Panopticon and the Velvet Room? Let me know in the comments below. If not, let me know what you disagreed with or what you think can be changed. It could be everything, honestly. I mean, I'm pretty new to this. If you liked the video, please leave a like, but if not, that's cool. However, if you liked the video, consider subscribing since I'll be making more content like this in the future, along with other types of videos. Before I go, I was considering making a series of videos where I take a closer look at the personas of the main characters and teach you about their inspirations from literature or other sources. It doesn't have to be from Persona 5 either. I could also do the personas from Persona 4, since their inspirations come from Japanese folklore. Or I could do Persona 3's personas, who are based more on Greek mythology. If you would like to see a series of videos like that, please let me know, and let me know who you'd like to see first. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.